security, and you go through 3 sets of guards before you even can see this man. And everything, you fingerprinted everything. You just go through all of that. And then they have what they call orientation to protocol. So they bring you to the Vatican and they get you familiar where you're going to be driven that day, which entrance you're coming in. And the first day I drove into the Vatican, the driver and the bodyguard were driving me. I didn't know what it was called, but now I know it's called a flashback. And I had a flashback when I seen this nun come around the corner as we entered the Vatican, and she looked like the nun that was in the boarding school I went to. So you can imagine we're little children that never left our villages, never saw white people, never mind anybody else. So when you saw a nun in the boarding school with their white and black garbs, and you think, like, what is that walking towards me? And the fear and the fright. And I came back into this, a week after my 5th birthday, little girl that first saw the nun, and this person was walking and talking, and I didn't know what they were. But I started reacting in my body. The driver, the bodyguard and the driver thought I was having a heart attack and wondered what they should do with me, if they should bring me to the hospital. I said, bring me back to my hotel room. I managed to make it in the door, and then I had the second encounter with Christ. And I dropped and I was rolling on the floor. And the second appearance, the second presence, again, totally slain. And this time, it's a deep pain and heartache. I never knew about heartache, that when you're made of spirit, soul, and body, that your soul and your mind, will, and emotions can be lodged with such pain. And people can die from this if they're not ministered to properly. People literally can die of a broken heart. I found out later. And he said to me, if any man says he hates God but loves his brother, he's a liar. Those are the only words he said. Wow. I come to find out it's a scripture in 1 John 4:20. It was written in the Word of the living God. And I knew he knew then that seeing that nun brought up all this hatred that shocked me. And I was on the floor and I said, God, I hate them. I could not speak because I lost all motor skills, and everything in your human flesh is slain before the living Creator. I could not speak like that, but I was communicating with my thoughts. I said, God, and I knew it was him. I said, I hate these people with a perfect hatred. And there's nothing in me that wants to forgive them. As far as I'm concerned, they ruined my life and they ruined the life of all of my people. But if you say that I must forgive them, then you're just going to have to do it through me, because there's nothing in me that can do this. Before I finished the thought, he answered me. He said, that's all I needed was your permission. He said, I know you can't do it, but that's why I died for you, so I could do it through you. With that, I felt a hand reach inside of me and drag this horrible black long thing out of my mouth, and it stunk so bad. I knew nothing about deliverance. I'd had the first encounter 10 months before. I was trying to play catch up and read this word, trying to figure out what happened to me. And I have this second encounter, but I knew on that floor in Italy that I had a deliverance. And I knew the black thing that came out of me was what was stored in my heart, and it was called hatred. I was horrified. Lord, for 10 months I raised my hand, I sang songs to you, I read the word. I thought I was a pretty good Christian. And once this horrible thing that it took out of me, I would have never known that thing was there if I had not gone to Rome, Italy, and had encountering face to face with that nun. I probably would have never known. So sometimes you have encounters that where he confronts you of what's hidden and still remaining in you. In his mercy and goodness, I could have walked around all these years like that and never knew it. And so I got delivered. I thought at first before he appeared to me, I was dying. I thought, I'm thousands of miles from home and I'm going to die in some hotel room in Italy. But it didn't happen. I truly died, but not in the physical realm. I died to hatred that day. After that, I had an encounter with the Pope. I don't think I could have faced that man face to face had I not had that deliverance.
Come on, amen.
And so I had this audience. I was put in the wrong room. I ended up having 2 sessions with this man because the guards made a mistake. I got held up. We go through 3 sets of guards, and they bring you into a room and they do orientation to protocol. So I missed out while I'm having the experience. But I get caught up the next day, and they tell you how to greet this man. So I had audience with the Queen also in England. The same thing, orientation to protocol. They teach you how to dress. I, as a female, how to dress in front of the Pope, how far apart you're to stand, what their titles are, whether you're to touch them or not, how to communicate, how much time you had exactly. And it's the same in Parliament. If you're going to address a Parliament, you go to Australia and you want to address the Australian Parliament, they'll tell you have 3 minutes. So you travel all the way from Canada to address an Australian Parliament, you're going to make your words count in those 3 minutes. You're not going to dilly-dally or waste words, and you're going to think hard, and you're going to prepare yourself, and you're going to want to make those 3 minutes. You have to make an impact. You have to say what you need to say, but in a way that it'll impact them and grip their hearts.
Amen.
And so I have this audience with the Pope, except they taught me all this, but what they didn't know, he had just been put into the position, and he had love for the Native American, the First Nation. And he had done a lot of research on his own. So the first room they put me into were with dignitaries. The President of the United States, Jimmy Carter, was there. I looked Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau, the King of Spain, and I said to the guard, no, I'm in the wrong room. I'm with the First Nation. I'm supposed to be somewhere else. And he said, no more time, because the trumpet blew and the doors, and here walked in the Pope, so they shoved me. I'm with all these men, and they didn't know what to do with me. It was too late to even run me out of the room, so they shoved me at what was supposed to be the end of the line. So he walks in and he sees me first. I'm at the end of the line, but he comes to me first. I didn't know he had love for Native people, and I didn't know the Italian television World News were beaming this live in every Italian home. I didn't know in Italy they love cowboy and Indian shows. And they didn't know the red man was still alive in Canada or America. They thought the cowboys killed us all off. So here's these thousands of Italian homes, and they're seeing these real live Canadian redskin Indian, as they call us, having an audience with the Pope right in their city, in their country. And so he beelines for me, and I'm thinking, oh no. And I forgot everything they taught me in protocol. I didn't genuflect and kiss his ring. I didn't call him Your Holiness. He came right up to me and took my hand, and here they said I'm not supposed to touch him. And I'm trying to get away from this man, and he's tugging a war at my hand. And he said, I'm so honored to meet you. And he started, tell me about your people. And I'm looking at this man, oh no. So I'm trying to talk as fast as I can, and somehow I get it out that I'm a survivor of the boarding school that was run by his church, the Catholic Church. And he kept talking to me, and I started getting embarrassed because the President of the United States is starting to shift in his feet and clearing his throat, and the King of Spain, and they're upset. I knew they were upset, and I'm embarrassed. I want him to keep going. So finally he moves on and the guard grabs me. He said, "You're in the wrong room." I said, "I told you I was in the wrong room." He runs me to the next room. Again, they put me at the end of the line, and he walks in the second time, and he sees me again, and again he beelines for me. I'm thinking, oh no, it's a mess, it's a total mess. And he came back and he picked up the conversation later. And it was a disaster for me that day. And then we had dinner with the Jesuit priest. We had dinner in the Vatican with plates inlaid with gold. There was little marble statues carved into the plates, solid gold cutlery, and it was just amazing. But we came out of the Vatican hours later, and there were thousands of Italians. Now it's not abnormal. The tourists go there, they buy trinkets, rosaries or whatever, and then he comes out, the Pope comes out on his balcony and blesses them, so they can take it home, say, "This was blessed by the Pope in Rome," and give these gifts out. Except that day, I'm thinking they're there to see the Pope, except that day they're there to see the real live Canadian Indian. And people are throwing us, and they had scissors and wanting to cut our long hair. "I got $50, can I have a piece of your hair?" And it was terrifying. They had to put extra guards, and they had to shove us and had to escape from the Vatican through another route. So when I tell this story, I say, I know what Elvis Presley went through. And it wasn't fun. We get back to our hotel thinking, oh, what an ordeal. We couldn't wait to get out of our regalia. We get to the hotel, and there's thousands of people there throwing us, and they had to bring us through the kitchen underground, bring us in the service elevator back to our rooms. Wow. They had to shut the swimming pool down so we could swim. It was very hot in Italy during that season time. We were having this audience, and we couldn't shop, we couldn't go anywhere after that. Wow. We were bombarded by people, and ended up catching the plane to come home. And some 10 months later, I believe, the Pope issued an apology to indigenous people for the ill treatment of the Catholic Church to the world. Now, I know that the Lord has His plans in all of this and has His ways. And in this, it was when I came from this, our people would have nothing to do with the born-again message. They were very Catholic in the villages, but the Lord used it twofold, because I was so-and-so's daughter that had audience with the Pope, who shook hands with the Pope. She can come and tell the born-again message. And so I ended up in this job, flying to all these isolated villages, and the elders would meet me, and they would kneel down. They said, "You the one that shook hands with the Pope?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Lay hands on me and pray for me." And the Lord supernaturally gave me the words in my language of the born-again message. And He used me on a secular job. I was paid by a college to establish educated people in my communities, but by